Well, welcome to Cover 2 TV. It's our second wildcard weekend preview. This time it's for the Sunday games. We've got the Bills at the Jacksonville Jaguars, of course, and we've got the Carolina Panthers at the New Orleans Saints. We'll start with the early game. That's the Bills at the Jaguars. Some injury news before we get into it. Bills running back LaShawn McCoy was carted off the field in week 17 after suffering an ankle injury. If he can't play, that's it. That is it. Game over. Because you're putting the ball in Tyrod Taylor's hands. But then equally, you've got a great quarterback on the other side of the ball as well, haven't you? This isn't a wildcard game, surely. This can't be a wildcard game. How the Bills ended up here?
Because the Ravens blew it on 4th and 12 and gave up a 50-yard touchdown. That's how, and it still annoys me. It's like Marvin Lewis just finds new ways to annoy me.
Yeah. Just him being in the league annoys you.
It really does. It really does.
And it annoys Bengals fans, I think. Just not the owner.
It should do. Yeah, if I was a Bengals fan,
absolutely. Okay, well, what do you think of the plot to this game? What do you think of the... Who do you think's going to win first and foremost?
I'm going Jaguars.
Yeah.
It makes most sense to go Jaguars in this game, even though they got no offense and they just been beat by the terrible Titans. And that's not like a good nickname, that's how garbage they are. You've got to go Jaguars because at least Jaguars got a defense to hold your hat on.
Yeah.
Whereas Bills have an okay defense. Well, they have a good defense, but it's nowhere near as good as the Jaguars defense. And again, I see Tyrod Taylor. This is why coaches get annoyed with him. He takes sacks for like 15 yards constantly because he just goes back, sack.
Yeah.
Never throws it away. Never. He's got some. He missed the sacks a lot, but again, it's because if they could play without a pocket, I think they would. I think if they didn't have to have 5 people in a pocket, they would just give them all wide receivers just so we could run as far back as he can and just find one of them. Because he doesn't use it. He doesn't use the pocket at all. He just runs away from it and then just hopes that he can extend the play enough that someone gets open and he can see them. Okay. Or that LaShawn McCoy breaks out, which if there's no shady, I don't know what score this is going to be.
No, I mean, listen, for me, my pick first and foremost is the Jacksonville Jaguars on this one. Listen, we've seen in a quarterback-driven league over the last few years, we've seen 3 teams out of the last 5 get there basically on their defence. You've seen the Seahawks get there, you've seen the Broncos get there, and you've seen the Ravens get there. Now, don't get me wrong, during those 3 runs, you had Peyton Manning game managing. I mean, that's a pretty good quarterback, albeit at the end of his career.
That was not a good quarterback at the end.
But, yeah, exactly. You had Russell Wilson, who's a friggin' magician. This isn't a guy who's crap.
No.
And you had, Joe
Flacco
playing the games of his life.
Yeah.
This is the thing, and I said this about 6 weeks ago. Blake Bortles can win games of football. It just so happens that he wins about 1 in 6 on his own, or 1 in 12, or 1 in 19. Whatever your figure is, I don't care what your figure is, he does have the ability to string a game together. And when he does string a game together with that defence, it becomes difficult. And if you've got Leonard Fournette running the football as well, I mean, this is a team that, if they had a good quarterback, you'd be fearing them.
Even if, I mean, I do not rate Tyrod Taylor, but Taylor was on the other side. They'd be a real Super Bowl contender, as they'd strike fear into the rest of the AFC's eyes. But Blake Bortles, as you're saying, he might have this 1-9, 1-12, whatever chance to win. He's also got like a 5 out of 6 ratio of just throwing interceptions for fun and blowing the game on them. So that's the problem. That's the problem with the quarterback is, you know, he's not good enough. And it's also mismanagement to keep him there, because we knew he wasn't good enough last season. They won teams who were touted to get a new quarterback. They didn't. They stayed with him. And they've shown this season that they're massively being held back by the quarterback.
Yeah, I think that's right, isn't it? These guys have to make moves because this cycle on this defence and the cycle on this team, all right, they're at the start of it, but they need to maximise that cycle, don't they? They can't play another year with Blake Bortles because I just don't think they can win the Super Bowl, and I do think the rest of the side's good enough.
Just look at the likes of the Patriots won Super Bowl in 2014. Look at the one that won it in 2016. It was 2 different defences, because that's how quick your cycle is. You might keep one, but the rest of them go, they all move on. They're all, you know, business decisions have to be made. You know, if you pay someone, you lose depth. So the Jaguars will start this cycle, but they only got like a 3-year window, really, to make some noise in the Super Bowl. They've got one of the best defences, I don't think the other teams in the AFC are that great. You think it's a winnable AFC, and the NFC, a lot of their quarterbacks went down. So it's a very winnable path to the Super Bowl, but you just don't trust Blake Bortles to be able to get there.
That's it. And flip side, listen, the Bills, I think their defence is okay. I don't think it's as elite as the Jaguars. I think that's fair to say. Quarterbacks both random as fuck, to be perfectly honest with you. The other thing that might come into this is, Buffalo's coach first year made a rookie mistake already, bringing Peterman into a game. For his first time in the playoffs, how's he going to react under the pressure?
We're going to see. We don't know. I mean, the rookie mistake wasn't bringing Peterman in the game. I actually don't believe that. I believe it was putting him in against the Chargers, against the best pass rush in the league. That was the mistake.
Sink or swim.
Yeah, that was the mistake, wasn't it? It's like you threw the baby in the bathwater and it drowned. It was that bad. That was the mistake.
That got dark fast.
I'm a very dark person.
I know.
I'm in a bad mood.
I know. So, okay, then we've both picked the Jaguars.
Yeah.
We'll move on then to the plum tie of the day. The Panthers at the Saints. Randomly enough, if the Panthers had won their last game, they would have been hosting this. But as it turns out, the Saints are now hosting the Carolina Panthers. Yeah, this is going to be an explosive game, Jenno.
Yeah, we got two teams who actually both lost on the final day of the season, which was a bit of a surprise, especially for the Saints, because they lost to the lowly Buccaneers, whereas the Panthers were kind of in that position where they were in the playoffs anyway, but there was stuff to play for. There was a way for them to get to even a first round bye if the Vikings would have lost. I think that was right. Or win the division and then go home. But I think when we look at the Panthers, a very hit and miss team. One week they look great, the next week they don't. They tended to beat the bad teams and then be hit or miss against the good teams. I don't think the defence is as good as we originally thought it was. I think it's dropped a little bit back to the pack, but still pretty good defence. And Cam Newton, what Cam Newton can do, no one else can. No one else can do what Cam Newton can do on the field. And it's just about whether he actually starts finding the receivers or not.
Okay. Okay, so some injuries then. Panthers guard Trey Turner, concussion. Kurt Coleman, ankle. His safety and cornerback Ladarius Gunter, illness, all inactive for Sunday's loss in Atlanta. Running back Jonathan Stewart was rested for the Saints. We've got offensive tackle Terran Armstead, thigh. Tight end Michael Humanawenu. The concussion. And defensive end Trey Hendrickson, ankle, all missed week 17. These two teams know each other very well. We know that the Saints beat the Panthers both times in regular season. It was 65-34 over the two games, I believe, was the scoring stuff. To the Saints, obviously. Saints rediscovered that defence now that Marshall Lattimore's back in. We know that they've been playing sensational defence all year. They've got a running game in Kamara and Ingram, and they've got Drew Brees, a Hall of Famer. For me, it's as simple as that. If Carolina Panthers cannot stop the running game, and even if they do, I still back Drew Brees. I don't think the Panthers have got a chance in this game.
I agree. I also think the Saints are going to win. That's why when the first bit talked about the Panthers before they just started saying how they're going to lose to the Saints, because I think the Saints are the better team. I think the Saints do have a solid defence, and I think that offense of the Saints is just much better than the Panthers, and it's much more consistent. You know what you're going to get. You know Ingram and Kamara are very hard to stop as a duo, and with the car, Michael Thomas has had an excellent year. I mean, he's went a little bit over the radar because how much everyone's been talking about Kamara, but Michael Thomas has been brilliant all year. Drew Brees is probably the best quarterback left in the NFC playoffs. I don't think that's an argument. And you're looking at the Saints thinking they can go on the real Super Bowl run because they got a great offense, they got a decent defense, which is something which they haven't had now for years, and they run the ball quite well. It's a pretty well-rounded team. And I think they're more likely to put up a performance than the inconsistent Panthers who just kind of found their way into the playoffs.
Yeah, I think a lot of that's been on Cam Newton. You mentioned how good he's been over the course of the season and stuff. They've massively relied on Super Cam against the shitter teams. And against the good teams, that ain't going to work. Against good defences, they'll hold a spy in there and they'll be able to keep you in the pocket or whatever. It's about, here's the thing. Did you watch the Panthers game at the weekend?
No, I didn't.
Right. Cam Newton was fucking atrocious. I am not joking. I haven't got the stats for this, so apologies. At one point, he'd thrown to Greg Olsen 11 times and Olsen had caught one. And I would say 10 of them were Cam's fault. All 10. I mean, listen, everything was sailing high. I mean, and I'm not just talking 1 or 2 yards, I am talking 3 or 4. I mean, it was ridiculous. The guy's throwing is just off at the moment, and he was looking around like Greg Olsen was doing something wrong, and I was like, I'm not being funny, Andre the Giant couldn't catch that. Do you know what I mean? There's no human alive that could have jumped up and caught that ball from where it was. That's how shit he was last weekend.
Yeah, this is not surprising. This is something we see with Cam all the time, that his accuracy is not great. It's why that he did originally, the Panthers kept drafting big wide receivers. Yeah. It's why they had Kelvin Benjamin. It's why they're happy with big catch radiuses so that therefore they can try and...
haul these down.
Yeah, they can try and hide his limitations. But then, as they found, they said we were too slow. People could just stack the box because people couldn't get off couldn't get past press coverage. So now we're looking, and he needs to be more accurate. But I wouldn't be shocked if he has a game where he's throwing
no, you're right.
darts everywhere.
I mean, you're just talking to the guy who said Blake Bortles can have a game. Yeah. So we're talking about Cam Newton here. So I completely agree with you that Cam Newton can have a game of football when he needs to. Like,
but if he's missing people high and wide, it wouldn't be surprised if like one of the safeties on the Saints reactionary and pick him off a couple of times. So look for those high wide through the middle passes and see what you can get out of it, because they are quite opportunistic, the Saints. Remember at an earlier game this season when they played the Lions, and remember when they had like about 7 billion turnovers? It was just a mad game like that. But you know, I just think the Saints are the better team. I'm just going the better team at home with the better quarterback.
Yeah, I think that's fair enough. Just something to note though as well, if the Carolina Panthers can stop the Saints, it's best to be done by stopping the ground game. Obviously, Kamara and Ingram are the first running back tandem in the league's history to both get over 1,500 scrimmage yards in a season. In the Saints' victories, 11 so far this season, or 11 in the regular season, they averaged 151 rushing yards per game. In their losses, 81 rushing yards per game. So if you're going to stop the Saints, it sounds mad to say, but put the ball in Drew Brees' hands. I mean, but that's mad. That shows how much they've changed over the last 12 months, and it's great to see. You know, I'd have no problem with an aging quarterback changing his game and handing the ball off to good players.
Yeah. I mean, that's 70 yards difference. That's a lot. That is not like going from like 100, that's 70 yards. No wonder you're losing when you're losing 70 yards on the ground game. I think Drew Brees, sometimes he hasn't looked that good, but that's usually outside the dome, and the dome is usually pretty good. That's another reason why I fancy the Saints. I think, you know, sometimes you just got to go with your best players. Make your best players, make playmakers. Let your best players be the playmakers to win games, and right now their best players are Kamara and Ingram. Yeah,
make them play. Give them the ball and make them play football. Anyway, there you go. Then that's been the Cover 2 Wildcard Weekend preview shows. Thanks very much for watching, of course. Let us know your predictions in the comment section below. Like the video and subscribe to us on YouTube. Thanks for watching. I'll see you next time on Cover 2 TV.